I wasn't ready to accept the fact that things happen like this in family. Like, I was just not ready to accept. That was like slap on my face that, okay, is this even real? Like, because I think back then I was in 8th or 7th and I wasn't even aware of what sex meant and everything. So this was a little and few things I really couldn't understand or grasp, but I could feel the emotions that she's going through. Of course, at the end I did cry, but I did not know why I'm crying, or there was no solid thought. Whatever your inner child wounds are there, they show up when you are adult. They just show up, like, in one or the other way. You want to face them, you don't want to face them, but they are there in front of your face, and you need to figure out how to deal with it. And you might not even know why I'm feeling this way, why I'm not feeling this way, but they just come on your face, and you just need to figure out how to even handle them, because they start showing up at your work, at your daily life, how you interact with people, and many more things.
When was the first time that you watched the movie? What were your first thoughts, and what is your first experience when the screen cuts to black?
So I think I watched this movie, I think 2-3 months after it released. It was very, very different than what I was watching. Through the time I was watching all nice action movies, and I suddenly watched Highway. So it was like pulling handbrake for me. Very different experience. And initially it wasn't making sense, because why would you like your kidnapper? Like, why would you do that? Then I think as the movie progressed, as we got to know how the plot is, that made more sense. But I'd say it just showed you a different side of trauma, when your family doesn't feel like family and you find home in someone else, with someone else, a total stranger who is also your kidnapper. At Yeah, so I think world works very different, and human beings are complicated creatures. So yeah, that was my first thoughts.
The younger we are, the simpler the emotions we feel. So yes, the main emotions were like sad. Yes, when she was confronting her uncle. Yes, that was sad. But yes, no, I didn't feel that so much about it that time. But when I watched it again years and years after, then means there were so many layers that I couldn't even see the first time I saw that.
So my first perception actually after watching was that the two things that I was able to, because obviously movie बहुत ऐसे कि आप बार बार देखोगे तो आप हर बार कुछ चीज नहीं पिक करोगे, but first thing था कि money can't buy you happiness. That was very inevitable in that movie कि even if you are having everything, she was not happy basically, and even she had like boyfriend and everything तब भी she was not happy. You are not safe. It doesn't matter लोग गरीब है या अमीर, it doesn't matter. लोगों का क्या तरीका है आपके साथ में, that matters. So you are not safe everywhere. And third thing was that you can find home anywhere, कभी भी और किसी के साथ भी. So it's just about that human connection that you find with someone. That is it all about. So हम बहुत practicality में जीते हैं, but if you are very true to yourself and you listen to your heart, you can find that place with someone you can never imagine with.
First thing I felt was freedom. This emotional availability, that emotional knots untying for both of them. So that was the first feeling that I have got, and they really confronted their traumas from the past, and they were finally at home, because what is home without the emotional part? So they actually found home in that small hut, or that truck was home for her.
Like people mentioned earlier as well, that Highway does a lot of things for the first time which traditional Bollywood does not. So what do you think about that? What are some things that stood out to you, just which Highway did it for the not only better but also for the first time?
मेरा भी फर्स्ट एक्सपीरियंस मूवी का यही था कि मैं भी समझ ही नहीं पा रहा था। बेसिकली आई वाज 14 इयर्स ओल्ड। तो समझ नहीं आता, बट द इम्पोर्टेंट थिंग दैट आई गॉट वॉज की ट्रीटमेंट बहुत अलग है एज कम्पेयर टू अदर बॉलीवुड मूवीज जो मैं देख रहा था उस टाइम पे। अब तो मैं जैसे पीछे की मूवीज भी देखता हूँ अच्छी, बट उस टाइम जो देखी होती थी वो वही जेनरिक मूवीज होती हैं बॉलीवुड की। तो जब मैंने ये देखी, सो बहुत बहुत डिफरेंट था, ऑलमोस्ट लाइक अ डॉक्यूमेंट्री। एंड लाइक पुट स्टार्ट जिस तरीके से होती है डायरेक्टली, जो ओपनिंग जो क्रेडिट्स है वही इतने ब्यूटीफुली शॉट किए गए हैं, एंड इट डायरेक्टली पुट्स यू इन द पर्सपेक्टिव ऑफ अ ट्रक ड्राइवर ड्राइविंग इन द नॉर्दर्न एरिया। एंड पूरा आपको फील आता है कि हाईवे स्टार्ट हो गई है। ठीक है, उसके बाद एक एक शॉर्ट ऑफ एक वेडिंग वीडियो है जो कि अजीब सा लगता है, उस समय नहीं समझ में आ रहा था, एंड देन इट्स डायरेक्टली पुट्स यू एट द इनसाइटिंग इंसिडेंट ऑफ द फिल्म।
Hints were right from the beginning. Even though she was in a wedding theme and in a luxurious bungalow, she felt so cooped up that she wanted 15 minutes of air outside, where her fiance was not even, agreeing to, go out with her. And also, there are also the first scene when she was getting kidnapped. You can see how her fiance, was not like you're just sitting and blaming her. Okay, why did you go out? Like, what was happening? Like, and then she was kidnapped. And I will not use the phrase Stockholm, that does not point properly to the movie. It's more about bonding, trauma bonding. So what trauma bonding entails is certain aspects of both the characters merging up together. So what I'm trying to say is, you remember the scene when she was being exploited by one of the kidnappers over there, and Randeep Hooda was the one who came and showed authority. She's not someone to play with. She is a merchandise. Okay, even though he was saying that, that was the point when I think there was a shift in the entire character of Ali Bhatt. Like, she started, looking at him a bit differently. She started trusting him. After that, she stopped running. And that was the point. The first run was not the run. Like, the first run was when, you are bewildered. You don't know where to go. You ran off, you just came back because there is nothing, like, you are a caged up bird who is who has no direction, is going to come back to its owner. But the second time when that happened, every decision that she was taking, unconsciously or subconsciously, it was to stay safe with Randeep Hooda. Like, she felt more safer with him than anyone in the world. But gradually these things progressed better. Again, I feel like there are so many hints, so many the small instances of how do I say, interaction between Randeep and Alia. Very small instances, even the interactions with other members. When she made friends with that guy, she was joking around with the dance and all, like, whatever. It was so lovely. Like,
what do you think trauma and healing has? But what role does it play between in the development of the relationship between Veera and Mahabir in the story?
For Heer, you can see the relationship that Veera was trying to she started accepting Randeep when he was the one who stood up for her. Her fiance did not stood up for her. Her own family members, her own mother did not stood up for her. Right? When she was a little girl, she was being abused by one of her uncles. Her own mother did not stood up for her, whereas a stranger who has just met her, and he just stood up for her. That was something that was a glaring storytell. Wow, yeah, he is someone that is there for me. He might be there for me whenever whenever I need a person, I guess.
Both are caged souls. Both are caged. They have their demons to fight, and on the highway they break free. And your first impression about the movie was this girl has been brutally kidnapped, and I'm wondering why isn't there enough resistance? Then when I hear she's on the top of a mountain, they stop somewhere on a small mountain, and there is a soliloquy where she speaks to herself. And मैंने वो dialogue लिखा है, उसने कहा हाय वीरा कैसी हो यार, तो वो खुद ही रिप्लाई करती है सोच के बताती हूँ. Then I understand कि yes, she does not want to go back from here.
First time when I saw this, a few things went above my head, and I feel like I wasn't ready to accept the fact that things happen like this in family. Like I was just not ready to accept. That was like slap on my face that okay, is this even real? Like because I think back then I was in eighth or seventh and I wasn't even aware of what sex meant and everything. So this was a little and few things I really couldn't understand or grasp, but I could feel the emotions that she's going through. Of course, at the end I did cry, but I did not know why I'm crying or there was no solid thought. But when I started watching this later on, like I used to here and there watch this movie because I like how beautifully the cinematography was. Like it felt like you're part of the movie when you're watching it. You know, there was nothing loud. It was just like basic scenic things. And someone mentioned that how folk music also was so it was shot everything raw, and that felt really nice. And later, when I kept watching this movie, and even yesterday, I just felt like if if you've got a great family, then you're one half of the life. Like you feel like it's a privilege to be born in a family where they know about healing, they know about therapy, they know how to communicate. All of these, you've just won your battle. And I have seen personally, like my founder, like how she speaks about her family. Like she speaks like, I have been brought up in a very loving family. I have had a very beautiful childhood. And when she says that, and I'm just like, I am so jealous of you. Okay, I really want to relate to you, but I cannot because I have not had those moments. So but one more thing to that it's related is whatever your inner child wounds are there, they show up when you are adult. They just show up like in one or the other way. You want to face them, you don't want to face them, but they are there in front of your face, and you need to figure out how to deal with it. And you might not even know why I'm feeling this way, why I'm not feeling this way, but they just come on your face, and you just need to figure out how to even handle them, because they start showing up at your work, at your daily life, how you interact with people, and many more things. And I feel that's what happened with Veera in the movie, because I felt like when she was young, she knew something's going on wrong. Even if she expressed, she did not have right people to tell her, you know what, this is wrong, and nobody stood up for her. But when she went out there, her inner child wounds were just healing by that whole journey. Like they and even getting Randeep, like even Randeep was healing in that whole journey. Even his childhood was messed up in its own way. So he was healing, but he was not ready to accept the fact that I can be happy. He was in his head, it was like, I have killed three people, and I deserve bad. Like no matter how much Alia is trying to show, you know what, everything will be fine, you will go meet your mother, I will make sure you'll go meet your mother, things will be okay. But he was just not ready. He was like, you know what, I deserve bad because I killed three people. So he was little being away from the joy that he should be receiving, even though he did something wrong. Maybe the realization, once you realize your mistake, maybe he should have accepted that, I deserve some joy. But Ali, on the other hand, she was enjoying every bit of it. She was like, she was just out there and exploring the world and admiring how beautiful this world is. Why didn't I see this before? Why didn't anybody show me this?
मैंने फर्स्ट टाइम जब ये मूवी देखी थी तो मुझे पता नहीं मेरा क्या एक्सपीरियंस था, बट लेकिन अभी मैंने जस्ट सेशन शुरू होने से पहले ही थोड़ी देर पहले ही जस्ट देखी मूवी, और मुझे इसमें दो चीज़ जो है बहुत ज़्यादा हिट करी। एक वो जब पॉइंट आता है जब वो थोड़ा नेचर से बात करती है और नेचर में खुद को ढूंढती है, जब वो पूछती भी है कि हेलो वीरा कैसी हो, तो फिर पूछती है कि मैं सोच के बताऊंगी। तो वो चीज़ मैंने सोची, मतलब वो चीज़ मुझे इस तरीके से हिट करी कि मैं लाइफ में कितने लोगों से मिला हूँ, मैं सबसे मैंने पूछा है कि हाँ तुम कैसे हो, हेलो हाय, लेकिन कभी मैंने खुद से पूछा ही नहीं ये चीज़ तो, कि मैं कैसा हूँ। और फिर और ये चीज़ मेरे को बहुत ज़्यादा हिट करी। और फिर मतलब मैंने सोच लिया कि हाँ अब से मैं भी पूछूंगा खुद को कि हाँ मैं कैसा हूँ। और दूसरी चीज़ कि जो आपने जो ट्रॉमास की बात हुई है, ट्रॉमास में मैंने जो चीज़ देखी है कि इसमें सिर्फ आलिया भट्ट का ट्रॉमा नहीं था, और रणदीप का भी अपना अलग ट्रॉमा था। और वो ब्रेकआउट कैसे हुआ कि मतलब वो थ्रू आउट द मूवी स्टार्टिंग से लेकर एग्रेशन ही दिख रहा था उसका। और वो ब्रेकआउट उस पॉइंट पे हुआ जब वो वहाँ पहाड़ों में गए, और जब उसे वो घर मिला ना आलिया वाला, आलिया ने बताया भी था कि मुझे ऐसे ही तो घर चाहिए था। तो वहां पर शायद वो उनका जो पीस है ना दोनों को, वो उनको दोनों को मिली और एक्सेप्ट भी की दोनों ने। जब वो 2 बार घर के अंदर गया, उसने देखा आलिया को, वो दोनों बार उसकी हिम्मत नहीं हुई अंदर जाने की। बाहर आके वो जो एग्रेशन था उसका, वो कहीं ना कहीं उसकी आंखों में आंसू ले आया, वो चीज ट्रांसफॉर्म इस तरीके से हुई वो। तो वो चीज अब दिखी ना, तो मेरे को ये चीज पहुंची कि हाँ ये बंदा भी स्टार्टिंग से लेके एंड तक मतलब लाइफ में प्यार तो चाहता ही था, जो उसे कभी शायद मिला नहीं मिला, लेकिन इस पॉइंट पे उसे वो चीज़ साफ मिल रही है, उसे दिख रही है, लेकिन वो नर्वस फील कर रहा है, उसे उसके अंदर हिम्मत ही नहीं हो रही उस चीज़ को एक्सेप्ट एक्सेप्ट करने की। तो वो जो हाउस है ना उनके लिए, दोनों के लिए वो एक पीस पॉइंट था कि हाँ यहाँ हम दोनों सुकून से रह सकते हैं।
In my eyes, I felt like he's remembering his mother a lot. Like
Yes.
when he was like, when he was seeing her do the makeup and clean the house and do the Maggie or
Yeah.
whatever, it reminded, I think that was like his heart was full.
Right from the moment when she puts on the dress and she says कि कैसी लग रही है. That's it for him.
तो एक्चुअली आलिया ने अपने चाइल्ड अब्यूज के बारे में डायरेक्टली और इनडायरेक्टली एक बार रणदीप हुड्डा को बताया है, जब वो एक रात को एक कहीं ढाबे पे रुकते हैं और वो चाय पीने के बाद उससे अपनी बचपन की एक प्रॉब्लम डिस्कस करती है, और लास्ट में उसको वो सीन बताने के बाद वो हग करती है, उसके बाद वो भागती नहीं है। रणदीप हुड्डा अपनी मम्मी को मिस तो कर रहा है, लेकिन सबसे ज्यादा वो धीरे धीरे उसको लाइकिंग तो हो रही है, लेकिन वो जुड़ना नहीं चाहता, क्योंकि उसको लगता है कि अगर हम दोनों जुड़ जाएंगे तो ये इम्पॉसिबल सा एक यूनियन होगा हमारा, तो जो कि वो इतनी बड़ी फैमिली से है, इतनी पॉलिटिकल बैकग्राउंड भी है और बहुत रिच है, तो हमारा मिलन नहीं हो सकता। वो इस चीज को समझता है, इसके लिए वो आलिया से इतना जुड़ना नहीं चाहता, लेकिन अट्रैक्शन भी हो रही है। और जब वो कपड़े पहन के उसके पास आती है तो वो जूता सिल रहा होता है, तो वो चिल्लाता है, उसको हटाता है वहां से, लेकिन अंदर से उसको अच्छा भी लगता है, लेकिन वो चिल्लाता उस टाइम अपनी माँ को याद करने के अलावा इसलिए भी चिल्लाता है क्योंकि वो उससे दूर भागना चाहता है, दूर रहना चाहता है। वो नहीं चाहता कि आलिया भी उससे ज्यादा जुड़े या मैं भी जुड़ूं, क्योंकि उसको लग रहा था कि अगर हम मिलते हैं तो ये इसका एंड अच्छा नहीं होगा, इसका नतीजा अच्छा नहीं होगा। इसीलिए वो घर में जब एंट्री कर रहा होता है, तब भी वो आलिया को जब देखता है कि वो रचने लग गई है इस घर में, अपने आप को इस घर में बिल्कुल इन्वॉल्व कर रही है, झाड़ू लगा रही है, काजल लगा रही है, गाना गा रही है, तो वो बाहर आके रोता है, क्योंकि उसको मजा अच्छा तो लग रहा है, लेकिन उसको डर भी है अंदर से कि ये ज्यादा दिन तक टिकने वाला नहीं है, इसका अंत कभी भी हो सकता है, क्योंकि हमारा मिलन कहीं भी किसी को भी एक्सेप्टेबल नहीं होगा। और लेकिन अंत अंत में हिम्मत करके वो इसीलिए जाता है, हक करके जब वो सोती है तो भी उसको लिपटा के सुलाता है कि वो प्यार दे सकता है उसको। आलिया भी अपना सब कुछ छोड़ के उसके पास इतने प्यार से हक करके सोती है, क्योंकि उसको विश्वास है उसके ऊपर कि ये आदमी है जो पूरी दुनिया में मेरे को सुरक्षित करके यहाँ लेके आया है। तो इसके लिए जो ट्रॉमा और वो चीज का पॉइंट है, वो इसलिए आपस में जुड़ते हैं ज्यादा, उनका गहरा रिश्ता इसलिए बनता है कि एक दूसरे की जरूरत को पूरा करते हैं। वो उसके ऊपर विश्वास करती है और वो भी उसके भोलेपन और उसका दर्द समझ के उसके करीब आता है। जब वो टिकट देता है उसको, तो हेल्पलेसली एक तरह से हल्की सी स्माइल के साथ जब टिकट देता है और खड़ा होता है कि ठीक है अभी चल जहां तेरे को चलना है मेरे साथ, कि शायद हमारा अंत अच्छा नहीं होगा, लेकिन जितने भी मोमेंट अभी हम साथ में गुजार सकेंगे तो हंस के साथ में गुजारेंगे।
The last monologue that she does, the breakdown scene in front of her family, I felt like the editing would have been so much better. It did not need two cameras. You don't need two different shots. If you just focus on one, because it was a long monologue, if you had just focused on her face, made sure that there were not separate takes, it would have been much more impactful. And also, I made a mistake of watching Imtiaz's interview where he said that I had just written scenes and it was not even on paper, the entire story. So I could see the half-heartedness in a lot of scenes because of that little bit. For example, someone mentioned show don't tell. For Randeep Huda's character Mahabir, show don't tell was amazingly executed. And I completely agree that Alia's some aspects was also completely nicely executed, where show don't tell was, for example, the Kutch desert scene. She's just crying. She's not saying anything, but you can feel every bit of emotion that she's going through. But then there were some aspects of hers where it felt more forced, where she's openly speaking out every stray thought that is coming in her mind. She does say, she has this monologue right after the Kutch scene the next morning about chai, and talking about, and then she explains herself as well कि अरे why am I talking so much? Oh, it's because परसों रात से मैंने कुछ बोला नहीं है. You don't need to say all of those things. Trust the audience to uh, have that much intellect कि वो समझ जाएंगे ये सारी बातें. तुम रोते क्यों रोते थे, and she's going on irritating him also. क्यों, मैं कहाँ जा रही हूँ? I think if it's not in the right context, that monologue with yourself can feel very forced. Talking about trauma, yes, I feel like her claustrophobia obviously comes from her family, societal pressure, ki, stay disciplined, blah blah blah. Um, and it's also shown in her constant pleasing, as I think Anurag you mentioned, ki her always constantly saying sorry and please. She's become a people pleaser in such a horrible manner कि वो अपने kidnappers को भी sorry, thank you, please बोलती रहती है. And on the other side, I feel like there was this one scene from Mahabir where he goes, keeps going away from her for her own good sake, because I believe it's not because he saw reflection. Maybe he saw his mom's reflection in her, but also because he truly believes he doesn't deserve it, because he has killed three people, because he is not a good person. He believes that he does not deserve a ghar, someone cooking for him, someone cleaning, for him, and all of those things. Um, because I think he does say this bit as well. Maybe to tha ladla apni maa ka. What happened? This everything is gone wrong. And I don't know if the Stockholm rant comes now, or do you have another prompt for it? Because um, I have a problem with people saying this is an entirely a Stockholm kind of movie. It is not. It's missing a very basic element of Stockholm, which is um, you relate to your kidnapper because of a certain um, common factor. I feel like she started enjoying her time away from home before she even bonded with Mahabir. She started enjoying that. There was an internal demon where she found the open spaces and away from home much better before she even bonded with Mahabir. So it's not entirely Stockholm.
So the prompt is basically that it's about sexual predators in the house. Why do we make an effort to hide them? Is it that men make an effort to hide them more than women, or is it the other way around, or is there like a pattern to it even? And why has society come to come to value public shaming as a form of accountability rather than actually addressing the misdeed that is done?
The thing is, I think we tend to live in a society which is conditioned and deals mostly upon the line that kuch to log kahenge. So that becomes one major factor which works upon the psychology of all humans beyond genders, males, females, or whatever other genders we're talking about. When we talk about like hushing the activities, the kind of abuse or the molestation or whatever it has been, anyone had to go through. As per the popular conceptions, what we see that like obviously the feminine gender probably have had to like deal through it on a much larger scale than the other counterpart. I'm just talking about the two binaries here. Because my knowledge doesn't comprise of the other multiple gender diversities that we talk today about. It's not only that like it's not about that like women have to face it or men have to face it, or why they hush it up. One major point which acts is our conditioning, and I think it also takes a lot of guts to speak up about it, even to you the closest person, or even the person you trust the most, your confidante. It might be a friend, it might be a family, whoever it might be. So like it takes a lot of guts to like that this happened with me. I was mistouched, I was groped, I was done with this and that. It takes a lot of guts, and everybody's not able to muster that kind of courage in their entire lifetime at times, and that is perfectly okay, because sometimes we don't even understand that we were abused or like molested at some point of time. We realize it much later in our lives, and at that time we feel it's already too late. Some people try to muster up the courage and speak that up, uh, too good for them actually, but some people just like just hush it away through their entire life. Since our society shames upon the victims rather than addressing the problem, it's a general thing for many cases today, like not only sexual abuse. So like society tends to shame upon like or fie upon the victim much more than addressing the problematic root cause. So I think these are like like a very minimal factors which actually contribute to like hushing up so many things which have happened to many of us in childhood. We are changing, we are evolving. Obviously, the society is more aware today. People of our generation hopefully will be understanding better, learning better, and paving the ways for our upcoming generations to even be more like progressive in those aspects. But yeah, it will take time. It's not gonna happen in one day or one night. uh, so and nothing happens like that. The very uh, deep rooted frightening fear, like, oh, I will be stamped. People just want to escape that stamp, maybe, and maybe that is for sometimes for the greater good, because you do not know how the social, how people, how even the maybe the closest person around you will just shoo, like, just distance away themselves, and you just don't want to lose that person anymore, just by mentioning something which happened in your past. So I think if this can be dealt with warmth, love, care, with your closest people around, if you can make them feel safe, like despite whatever happens, despite whatever has happened to you, or despite whatever will happen to you, I am there. No worry what. If this kind of environment or this kind of people can be nurtured around, I think it will be a better prospect in terms of everything for the society, for people.
Emotional complexity which Imtiaz Ali brings, the journey which a person has to go through to relieve that emotional burden, the emotional knots. What can happen to a person if that person actually experiences emotional safety within the vicinity of people who are actually caring about. I would like to quote a song which is Gulo Mein Rang Bhare from Haider. We can't actually escape Haider when we are talking about trauma. So Gulo Mein Rang Bhare, it has a starting line that is Bada Hai Dard Ka Rishta. So I think I'm quoting Zakir Khan, the famous stand-up comedian. He said that खुशी बहुत पर्सनल चीज है, but trauma वो धागा है जो हम सबको जोड़ता है. So trauma is the thread which binds us all, because trauma's hold or grip on us is very much stronger. So we will definitely bond with a person who will not try to give us that fake positivity, or who is trying to give us that positivity कि हो जाएगा यार, कुछ नहीं है, और मतलब निकल आओगे. Not that, but who is able to, who is willing to, who is trying to walk with us during those dark times and hold our hand. So I think that is how trauma bonding is there in that movie, because she was actually asking about her mother. I think no one has ever done that. No one cares about the person who is working for as a sex worker. That really struck inside him. He was not able to process that amount of niceness, that part where she's confronting her uncle to the in her house, and she feels the courage to scream at him. I think that scream really symbolizes the scream which she was trying to do all those years back when she was 9 years old, which her uncle was not like the uncle was not giving her the chance to scream. Going down to the prompt about why we do not like to share these traumatic events. I think Indian I don't know about other societies, but Indian society is built like that. We don't care about individualism. We care about the societal image first. We are all taught that our elders are our protectors, are our caregivers. So nothing will happen, or we will feel safe around those people. But so that image is so strong, and among elders relationship also, and the elder child relationship also, that power dynamics, that image is so strong कि ये अंकल या ये आंटी तो मेरे साथ कुछ नहीं करेगी. When they are the predators, we are not able to accept the fact, and we are trying to build up a wall around the person, कि hush hush wall, and we are trying to confine that, and we are not trying to like they're doing a dehumanizing work, that elder who is sexually abusing. So we're not trying to break down that image from our mind कि ये आदमी कैसे कर सकता है यार.
At childhood they felt helpless. They felt they are surrounded by vultures, not being able to do anything for their family, for their loved ones, or for themselves, right? And one person becomes too submissive. Veera, whatever you say, I'll do. The other one is taking revenge on society. It's just going around being angry on people around, not respecting any rule, going killing and doing all these things. And at end, kind of, they influence each other. That submission is also a way to live, and that guy teaches her in the end, saying being aggressive is also a way to live. So that's, I won't say they were getting healed. They were getting exposed to a different way to respond to that childhood thing. Not being angry all the time, not being when they are singing, he's not stopping them. While in the first instance, why are you even coming out of the room, right? So there's a transformation on him accepting the that this, okay, she's like this. She's not my thing anymore, and it's just a person and in a wrong place, and just a victim like me. So the caste divide that is represented, that अमीर लोग हैं, इनका हमेशा ऐसे ही होता है, इसको तो मैं लेके जाऊंगा, ये ऐसा धंधा करवाऊंगा इसे, वो सब खत्म हो जाता है उस मोमेंट में.
The word Stockholm, it basically means falling in love with your captor. If you remember the line that Veera had said, I'm not going to marry you. Yeah, plan nahi hai uska. I'm not going to marry you. I'm not here to feed your kids or something like that. So that plays a very crucial role. There's a mutual bond that they have shared, but that is not Stockholm. Stockholm is a very different clinical term. Okay, I'm not going to go into this entire psychology bit. So I'm just just being a nerd about it and pointing it out. Do you think that healing ever took place through the storyline? There was bonding, there was mutual respect, there was trauma, all those are clear, yeah. But healing, was there any healing in the storyline? There was healing at the end of the storyline. When Veera was standing in that garden, she was seeing an imagination of both of them running around. Wouldn't that you call healing? When she expressed her cries about the thing that had kept her for so long, मुंह बंद करके रखो, चिल्लाओ मत, हो गया है, and she just screamed out the thing. Since then the healing started. Randeep never went through that healing process. He was still stagnated in the process ki, do I even deserve this? But Veera was lucky enough to have that, or the start of that, the entire healing. This is very prevalent in all cultures, in all societies, India being one of them. Be it, from very rural subcontinents, from very, poverty-stricken, underprivileged backgrounds to very high-class societies. This abuse of sexual, physical, or emotional abuse is very prevalent. And most of the time, in the Indian society, people do not speak out, which is changing, I would say, which is very much changing nowadays. It's mostly from the judgment, first of all. And secondly, if the people are related within themselves. A lot of family conflicts tend to arise, and from a person who is as they heard the name of Veera's I think her title. I think there was something that clicked ki acha iska beti ko utha liya, we are dead. So that was something very influential. You can see how much influence that person holds. The name itself holds a lot of influence, right? So when you have such influence in the society and suddenly this thing is portrayed, one of the uncles has been, abusing the daughter, the image, crashes in the society. So I guess that is one thing that played a very important role.
Stockholm syndrome, it is a coping mechanism just by the witness, by the victim. So it doesn't come from the other side at all. So when you say that Mahabir was also falling in love, that was genuine, any kind of bond that they had. It was not a Stockholm syndrome. So Stockholm syndrome would be if it was only in her own mind. Second thing, when people use trauma bonding for, oh yeah, I trauma bonded with my friend because we were talking. No, please don't use that, because trauma bonding is when you are when you have that trauma bonding with your abuser, where he has moments of respite as well as moments of torture. So in the moments of torture, you hate them, but in the moments of respite, when he's giving you some kind of break, or they are giving you some kind of break, that is when you trauma bond with them, because there's a back and forth, and because you feel like, firstly, you're isolated from your entire world. Secondly, you feel like iske alawa mera aur kuch hai nahi. So this is the only person I have. So no matter what he's doing to me, I will still bond with them. So trauma bonding is not when you talk to your friends about your trauma. Sorry. Yeah, and about I think the again Stockholm syndrome bit. Someone mentioned empathizing with the other person. I feel like he empathized with her a lot more because she did not even know his story. She did not know his mom's past. In fact, she was the one who brought up the sexual assault in one of her breakdowns, like late at night. And I felt like he empathized with her much earlier than she did. He was just showing his troubled self, but not the reason why he was troubled. And last bit, um, why we protect our abusers. This happens very often. It happens in every household. It is very, very common. Please talk to the women around you, or at least give them a little bit of a ear. If you talk to them, you would know that this is very common. Every woman almost every woman has gone through something like this. If it's not in the childhood, it is somewhere in the um, um, in the recent past, if they're all grown up. And yes, also men, very important. Men equally go through sexual abuse when they are kids. You have, I know for a fact that you must have known many friends of yours who've opened up to you, where they have said that yes, this is a very common thing. Unfortunately, it is a very common thing. And okay, why do we protect them? Let's say it's an ideal world. You get support from your parents. Your mom and dad are not asking you to keep quiet about this. Your justice system is great, that your abusers are not politically connected, and they can't get away with it. All of these are valid points. See, it's an ideal world, but because it is a child abuse, it's not a rape by someone who you don't know. You can fight. I know people who fought for justice and received that. But because it is child abuse, it is mostly done by a family member. And by the time you realize what has happened, you already know their family as well. You know their wife, you know the kids, and the consequences are not just borne by them, it is also borne by the family, who have no part in this sexual abuse. So I think that is one of the main reasons that at least child abusers go scot-free, because they are protected by their own family. Even if your own family protects you and supports you and everything, but because you see their kids playing in your lap, you see their wife being very nice to you, um, you feel like, okay, you know what, they don't deserve what this man has done. So I think that is one of the reasons that um, we protect the child abusers.
From the very start, we have been told that family comes first, and when if you state out something like this, it will basically destroy the family, mm, uh, and then this will have a huge impact. So because of this, nobody speaks out, and the victim, what happens with the victim may be that they start believing that this is a normal thing that is happening with me, that this happens with everyone, and you realize later on that this is not normal. And when you speak up, maybe it's too late, and when you tell someone, they all they care about is what other people will think. Editing was really haphazard in the last confrontation scene, and there's a scene where she breaks down when she's going in the car, leaving her home in the cab, and in that scene also, I don't know why we are afraid of close-ups. Like I feel this thing in Hindi film and generally in Indian film, that we don't go too close in on the actor's face. Whereas recently I saw Oppenheimer, and like Nolan literally puts the IMAX camera on your face, like just here, because the story is happening here. Why you showing other things that are not important at all? So it's unfolding, right? So that scene, in the car, she says, "Ki stop the car," and then and you get a cut, and then the car stops, and then she gets off and quickly crying, basically. I felt that scene could have been really impactful if we have got a cut without any cut, focus on her face, and there's a transition of emotion.
So I wanted to talk about the title of the movie, Highway. So my interpretation of it was it represents a transformation which Veera goes through, and the transformation which Randeep Huda's character goes through. I think it was captured in a very marvelous way, and it represented the how a highway takes turns, and there are bends which are very sharp, and there are bends which are very soft. So I think it represents kind of the arc of Randeep Huda, who's as we were shown. I felt his character arc from being a man who was like a criminal, like who was very much in guilt that he killed several people, to the man who was accepting of his, emotional unavailability, which he like the emotional love, the love which he never got, and the upheaval of emotions which he experiences when he sees Kyra, when he sees Alia Bhatt dressing up in that hut in the mountains. So the whole process was very transformative, and I really liked the Anurag, as you mentioned, as he goes inside and he comes outside, his cries are more and more intense. So yeah, I like to think that it was both representation of how he misses his mother, and how they were both abused by his father, and it also represents the sensitivity, the emotional safety, and the emotional availability which he never got. So he was really at ease, and was really feeling warm when Kyra hugged him, and he was shouting "Amma, Amma." So this was about Randeep Huda's character, and about Kyra. She was, I think, she also goes through a very like a highway has very sharp bends sometimes. So I felt that the character which was shown to us of Alia, but the character, like the arc was not very smooth, but it was meaningful, at least to me, because how she goes from a girl who was very people pleasing, and to such a point that she was saying sorry to her captivators. So from that point to confronting the like I think that uncle was very elder to her father also. So elder to her father. So that was a very different power dynamics which was at play. So confronting to that and standing up for herself, that overcoming the wall inside her which prevented her from accusing the person who should be naturally ashamed of his doing is very like brave.
जैसे मैंने जुडिशरी सिस्टम की बात करी, क्योंकि हमारे पास सोसाइटी में एग्जांपल्स भी नहीं अवेलेबल है जिनको इन प्रॉपर इस प्रोसेस से सजा मिली है, तो बहुत बार वो शेयरिंग वहां पे भी ब्लॉक होता है कि पीपल डोंट वांट टू गेट गो अहेड and be a part of the judicial process and all, which is like very much time consuming and garnering unnecessary of the attention also. If not the victim shaming and all, it can turn anyway.
The movie name is Highway, and obviously highway plays a big role in the film. And it's symbolic कि जब तक वो लोग हाईवे पे होते हैं और वो मूव कर रहे होते हैं, वो लोग सेफ होते हैं. And the moment they decide to stop at one place and कि अब यहाँ
Oh my
से
God.
we're going to live really happy and वो वैसा ही घर मिल जाएगा जैसा मेंशन किया था early on from the beginning आलिया के कैरेक्टर ने, and वो end हो जाता है. Basically it's like life, ठीक है, just जो
अरे,
best thing you are thinking की
ये
destination है,
तो
that's the journey. You just
ये तो
keep moving on in life, and because the moment you stop you die.